What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video. It is the Muddy Puddle Squad here. If you guys are new to the channel, do not forget to click that big red subscribe button so you guys never miss out on future videos. But today we're going to talk about a super centenarian case that's always really been really weird for me. And that is the case of John Rowin, also known as John Rovin and also known as Janos Rowin. So I'm just going to call him John because that's the name given in the book that I have. But I actually have a book from 1929 detailing John Rowin's life. So who was John Rowin? John Rowin was a man born in the 1550s in Hungary and claimed to have lived to the age of 172, at least, 172, and he claimed to have been married to his wife Sarah for 148 years. Some sources say 147. So obviously I'm just going to start out by saying I don't believe this case, although it has a lot of really weird twists and turns to it, because even though this was, to me it seems likely that he was indeed a real person, because I have a book detailing his life from 1929, and I doubt that somebody would have actually made up a lot of this information. Because there's sightings, there's references, there's a lot of stuff that kind of proposes him to be a real person. And what's interesting is that he actually has some documentation in the book. There's some documentation in the book that I have that actually sources his age and supports his age as being true. Another thing is that a lot of people, the book is actually the only place that I've ever found on the internet. I've never found this information on the internet. I've only found this information in the book that gives an exact date of his death, which occurred in 1727. And at the time that he passed away, he outlived his wife Sarah, but at the time that he passed away, he also had a supposed 116-year-old son. Now, I've never been able to find I've not been able to find much documentation or anything like that on his son. That is the only place you can find that he has a 116-year-old son. But the son, I've never been able to find much information about him. It appears to me like I don't know why. I don't understand what the point of that is. But yeah, it's a very interesting case. And my thoughts on the case is that he probably was a super centenarian, given some of the details that I know. But I would say he was probably around 110 or 111 when he passed away, and not 172. Now, that's just based on my own personal opinion, because the documents that he does have does show that he did live to be 172. But we do know that is biologically an impossibility. It's impossible for a human to live that long. So obviously he couldn't have been 172 when he died. But because of the age of family members, it leads me to believe that he probably was around 110 or 111 when he died, just because of the age of some of his descendants. And that's me being generous. He could have been younger than that, but I do think that it is possible he was one of the very first supercentenarians. What's interesting is that a lot of people gave accounts of this man, saying that he was already a middle-aged man when they were children, and now these people are old, and this John Rowin guy is still alive. So it's a really interesting story. There's a lot of really weird twists and turns and plot twists in his story, and just a lot of really bizarre coincidences that I've discovered. But I think he was indeed a real person. He was probably 110, 111. And again, that's just my personal opinion based on the ages of his descendants. There's absolutely no documentation whatsoever. There is zero records that show he was a supercentenarian. In fact, like I said, the documentations he has does prove he was 172, but we can rule that out because that is a biological impossibility. It's impossible for somebody to live that long. People don't live that long. So that's why it's a very mysterious case, as how old was this man exactly. But anyway, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!